I'm James Vietz. I live here on Maui in Kihei at Halamas Street. And I'm a student at the college over here at UHMC. What do I know about sugarcane burning? Well, I know that it did help bring some community to the island, and it helped with the economy a lot, but over the past few years, they haven't been very responsible as a company on the whole. I remember a few years ago there was a big lawsuit because they weren't using filters on their sugarcane burning.
My name's Kikueva Lincoln, native Hawaiian and from Hawaii. I was born in Kahikua. Graduated university in 2003 and then worked for the Bishop Museum as an educator for 3 years, and now a PhD candidate with Stanford University. The cane burning process, it's basically a really old harvesting technique. You burn up the cane fields, and that, for one, gets rid of all the leaf litter, all the foliage, burns up all that, which is pretty much useless in the cane making process, and just kind of gets rid of that stuff, makes it easier to harvest. I've also heard it crystallizes the sugar in the stalk. When they used to go out and harvest with machete, the really productive varieties, that were in really wet areas, you'd actually just be tripping out cane juice, and you'd actually lose a lot of the cane sugar. The burning of the cane kind of increased yield.
The central isthmus of Maui has always been a dry, windy, and sandy plain. There are not many crops that can survive in these conditions. Sugarcane is one of the few that can. We do not propose to phase out sugar in the near term. We have a responsibility to provide good jobs to our 800 employees and a commitment to keep the central Maui community green and growing. Our timetable will depend on the outcome of ongoing research investigations of alternative crops, new uses of sugarcane, modified breeds of sugarcane, improvements to farming and plant-to-energy conversion processes and technology, all being done in partnership with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, and the Office of Naval Research.
My name's Karen Chun, and I've lived on Maui since the early 90s. I'm married to a Hawaiian, and his family goes back 800 years, the Lono family. So I have so many cousins that whenever I get introduced to somebody new, the first question I ask is, are they a cousin too? I live in Kuau Bayview, which is an A and B subdivision that was made out of cane lands, and my house backs right up to the cane fields. The really interesting thing is that there have been over 200 studies saying that agricultural burning, that is particulates, do cause lung cancer, do cause damage to the lungs. In fact, I thought maybe what we should do is have a advertising campaign with somebody framed in the cane field holding a piece of cane and the motto, Maui, stop smoking cane. Because it's not as bad as tobacco, but it does the same damage as tobacco. Now, the hard part is that the EPA does not regulate intermittent sources of smoke. They are looking at regulating particulates coming out of stacks and so on, because they're finding that the particulates, that's the ash that's very, very fine, do damage human health. But they have on purpose made an exception for what they call intermittent sources in order to allow agricultural burning. But what they hadn't really looked at is agricultural burning that's 1 foot away from where people are living, which brings its smoke down on populated centers such as Kihei, Kahului, Malaya, and Paia.
Controlled burning removes the leaves from the cane plant, leaving a clean stalk which is then squeezed in the mill to extract cane juice, which is processed into sugar. If the leaves are left on the stalk, they contaminate the cane juice and clog up the mill equipment, both of which result in less sugar production. As a commodity product, the economic viability of a sugar plantation is extremely dependent on the volume of sugar produced. Burning has been part of the sugar cultivation process since the industry's earliest days. The burning of cane occurs almost everywhere cane is grown in the world, including everywhere it is grown in the United States, Florida, Texas, and Louisiana.
My name is Michael Howden. I've lived on Maui for about 40 years, mostly in the backcountry. I practice permaculture and permaculture design. And a few years ago, through circumstance, I became a member of the Board of Water Supply. And I was later a two-term chair of the Board of Water Supply. So I dealt directly with a lot of issues concerning access to water, public trust doctrine, etc. And I've always been working in terms of sustainable agriculture. I've been chair of the State Board of Acupuncture for the last 5 years now. I had an experience where I was driving from upcountry and I was going the back way to the dump because I had an oversized load and I didn't want to go down the main highway. So I'm at Omapio and Kula Highway. You begin to go Makai. The air changes some because actually that's a pretty intensive, or relatively intensive agricultural district. So a lot of agricultural chemicals are used. So I live in Olinda where the air is really clean and you're beginning to go Makai. Doesn't smell so good. Then I got into where the cane fields had been burned, the upper cane fields. And you could see the burned plastics and you could smell it was saturated with the aerosols from the chemicals, the agricultural chemicals that they used. And then, of course, you go to the dump, which is an appropriate coda to that whole thing. But this is like, a human-created event, and or a corporate created event. Were very deleterious health effects on the community at large.
We do care about the health of our community, as all of us at HCNS live and work here too. We work closely with the State Department of Health and with the EPA to ensure that we are in compliance with regulatory requirements. In addition, we implement a number of free notification tools so that our neighbors can stay well informed about our cane burning schedule. We are investigating long-term alternatives to burning because sustainable farming is a mutual goal of HCNS and the community.